are live.
I thought you were gonna play a song.
I'll play it in the middle of our break.
Okay, guys. How you doing? Episode 8. Beautiful to see everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. StormCrow, Dreamers Talking to Dreamers. My name is JD Glasscock. This is Mark Potter, my co-host, and then of course Lola.
Hi, Lola.
Yeah. Mark, your volume's a little low. Okay, so welcome and Happy New Year. As we said last week, this would be the time once we start looking for sponsors. When we've been doing this for a little while longer, this is where I would promote your product or your business. If you're interested in such, please contact Mark, and he'll be able to help you out in that. We have some amazing guests tonight. We have some amazing guests I've already booked for next week. Next week, we have a first for StormCrow Dreamers Talking to Dreamers. We have a celebrity chef in the house. Wow, celebrity chef. We're going to get the foodie on, along with a beautiful actress model next week. But tonight we have some amazing guests. Again, we want both me and Mark and Lola want to thank you for supporting us in this venture. We will be, we'll keep going regardless, rain, sleet, shine, or snow. We will be taking the 24th off. So next week, and then we'll take 1 week break and then come back on the 31st. And me and Mark need at least one break, one week off a month to keep our sanity and to do all our other projects that we have going on. But anyway, who do you want to bring in first, Mark?
Let's go ahead and bring in Tamika Entsminger.
All right, you guys, beautiful actress, beautiful model, just a beautiful girl all around, spiritually and heart-wise, from the East Coast. Let's bring in for Tamika Entsminger. Hey, Tamika.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. How are your little ones?
They're good. They're in bed right now. They should be.
Yeah.
Here.
Well, that's good. Tamika is going to be in our feature Blade and Blood. We'll be shooting this, more than likely we'll be shooting this summer. So if you want to check out a little more about her, you can go there, bladeandblood.com. She's playing the role of Delilah. Look under, it's a big website, so look under cast and
check it out. It's going to be epic. Epic.
Bring in Rich.
All right.
This is a great friend of mine for a long time. He's a singer, songwriter in Canada. He also teaches for a living. And so let's bring in Rich Foliet. Hey, Rich.
Hey there.
Yeah,
How are you?
we've known each other, what, 5, 6 years now or something like that? 7 years?
Yes, sir, we have.
Yeah, quite a long time, man. And you've been a big supporter of most of everything I've done, so it's always been appreciated.
I think you're the future, JD.
Oh, I appreciate that. That's a little grandiose, but I appreciate it. Not that, I mean, come on, man. My last name's Glasscock. I had to come out of the room either having probably an overdose of confidence, or I was just going to be an insecure mess. So,
Yeah, you kind of need to have a sense of humor, you know.
Yeah. Well, what I learned early on is I make the jokes about my name before they ever do, and then they laugh with me instead of at me. So.
Well, I predict a future where nobody's going to be making any jokes about.
No, I'm telling you, man. We're going to make T-shirts say "Viva la Glasscock." I'm telling you.
There you go. Handle with care.
Anyway, you guys, okay, I want to get going, so we're going to start off. We'll start off with Tamika. What is a project that you've done in the recent past or currently that has your passion really energized?
I would say I had branched off from my typical modeling and film, television roles, and I stepped into the theater. I stepped into an off-Broadway show called 36 Blocks, which was very, very, very influential. And it was really, really a different character for me to play. I played a 17-year-old. I looked young for my age, and I had the pigtails, and I had to have a country accent. I was from the South, and it was definitely a true story of growing up back in the 1920s, facing a lot of difficulty at that time. But it
Well,
was.
and that'll also increase your acting skills because you got nowhere to hide. I can't on a stage. They can't go, okay, cut. Let's do that again.
Very true. And I say the best actors are typically from the theater. I got a lot of information during that time, but yeah, there's no cut, there's no reactment, there's a live audience in front of you. You have to deliver. And I mean, you look at the person in the face in front of you and you deliver that emotion. It's just something different about being on the stage. I loved it. It was a different experience for me. I've done theater in the past, but nothing as broad as that. It was a big theater, 200 seats. But I enjoyed it. I definitely did. So that was my most recent thing that I have done that really stood out to me. Yeah.
Well, it should. I mean, it sounds like it was an amazing experience. Story to tell. Everybody in the 1920s, the Great Depression, was struggling, but I can't imagine more so than the African American community. So
yeah, it was
because that was before civil rights, it's before all that. So not only do you have a whole entire country or in poverty of any color, but I'm sure then it was twice as hard on the African American community.
10 times hard, fighting for rights and everything, being a young girl, witnessing what's going on with your family, can't cross the train tracks. 36 blocks were bombed. To this day, there's only one block standing. So just to be in that role, it did a lot to me, and it built character, if I could say anything. As I've done different things, there's no camera in front of you. You're live. It's go time. So I enjoyed it. And I do like the opposite set, though. I do love the camera. You can go over your acts and your scenes over and over again, so you get it right. But
yeah, believe me, I'm probably not going to be directing a stage play. I like being big thing is my dialogue and my writing and my imagination. So you wouldn't be able to do a lot of the things you can do in film as far as imagination on the stage.
Very true.
So adding post effects and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Rich, same question to you. With a recent project or current project that has your passion going?
Well, as a poet, I am always sending out my work to various magazines, e-zines, publishers, and just yesterday, I got word that 3 of my poems are going to be published in Poetic Diversity out of Los Angeles, which is edited by Marie Lecravain, who's very well respected. It's a real honor to get those in like that.
Very beautiful.
That's what we hope for. That's what we hope for.
Very beautiful.
Acceptance. We all do.
That's very beautiful. I mean, you know where I started. That's where I started almost 3 decades ago, was Poetic. I was big, though, personally on submitting to magazines, but I know that that's an accomplishment, especially some of the more respected ones, like the one you're referencing, is very challenging to get into because there's like everybody submits to them. So,
that's absolutely true.
Yeah, it's very beautiful. Yeah. I
feel
think
very
because it was more of an ego thing. Way back in the day, 30 decades ago, poetry scene was extremely cliquey. And I've never been a big fan of whether it be elementary school, junior high, high school. I've never really liked the whole clique thing. All I cared about was you were nice or you were not nice. Didn't care about whether you fat, skinny, good looking, black, gay, straight, whatever the fuck it was, man. All I cared about was did you have a good heart, did you not have a good heart? I didn't care about popularity. So, but that's amazing, man. I don't know if I've ever read any of your writing. I don't think you really sent it to me. But I've seen you sing.
Yeah.
Seen videos of you singing and stuff like that.
Yeah, I've sent you songs.
We're going to be playing one of those. So
you're on a delay, JD. I couldn't hear that last bit.
So we're going to be playing one of those that you sent to Mark at the break. So we'll let everybody see you.
Oh, that'd be great. That'd be great. I'm working on a new
Do you
album
remember
right
any
now.
lines out of one of the 3 poems that you got accepted?
Absolutely. I got one right here for you. Hang on just a second. This is one you're going to hear very soon. It's called Tubular Vision. He was a crazy man, destined to faint and flail. His outward self, can a nylon cylinder have a self? A mirror image of my inner bedlam. On my cell with a friend in the L of a strip mall parking lot, picking up Chinese takeout with a crazy man gyrating wildly in the periphery, I could not step out of the car. A vomitous, malignant rage darkened and swelled into virulent, parallaxed anguish when, in the throes of what could only have been unprecedented celestial alignment, crazy man tucked his head under the eaves and was briefly, inexplicably still.
Did you throw Kerouac in there?
A little bit. If he,
Did you? I'm pretty sure I heard you say Kerouac's name. We can't listen to the whole poem. We don't have time for it.
Yeah, there you go.
That was awesome, man. And although that was more prose, I would say, than
it's free verse. Yeah, it's free verse.
Poetic.
It's not free verse. Yeah. So
yeah,
it's
more prose. Like what you just read, you could see in a novel. I mean, it's very Kerouac-y. I mean, like most of Kerouac's novels read like that.
That's a real compliment, and I thank you for it.
Yeah, I love Kerouac. If you ever listen to his, you can find it on YouTube, him doing his poetry to jazz.
Yeah, yeah.
And that guy had a voice of velvet.
Well, you know, that makes sense because my background is in theater and music, so I always have a tune in my head when I'm writing words. It just comes naturally. So,
yeah, well, I mean, like, if you haven't heard Kerouac's voice doing poetry, I mean, you need to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
His voice was like, if he had ever decided to do radio, he would have been the prima donna of all radio voices. His voice was like about as smooth spells.
Oh, yeah. It's what we call a 4 a.m. voice, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. It's him, Barry White. There you go, man. Now, what is a project coming up that you're passionate about, that you're intense about?
I'm recording a new album. Tamika, there?
Wait, hold on.
I'm gone. I'm out of here.
No, Rich, you're good. I'll come.
Recording a new album. That's good. Okay, I want to hear more about that too. No, I have another show coming up, basically New York Fashion Week, February. I did it last year. It's called Runways on Fire. I mainly model for a designer, Mr. Carlisle Collection. He's out of Atlanta. It's but the first one was here in Jersey in Marriott in January, and the one in February is at the Pooch in the city in Manhattan. It's about 3 hours. The show is a lot of designers come out, a lot of celebrities come out, and there's a runway, and you have to work that runway like no other, because those designers want you to wear their clothes. You don't wear the clothes. The clothes don't wear you. You wear the clothes. So meaning make the statement out of it. I enjoy it. It's so much fun.
Well, you're a beautiful woman, so and
Thank you.
I'm sure that you'll do their clothes justice. They got bands there though, man, because I crashed one once and did the runway in a sumo loincloth, and they didn't like that, man.
You crashed the show.
My sumo thong wasn't. They didn't the blinding white skin and all that stuff, man.
They should have just let you rock the one.
Man, you guys are haters.
They just let you walk. I mean, you probably would have stole the show. That's why.
Yeah, just my old white ass and
that hair popping, you know.
Yeah.
No, it's really fun. You get the music, you get pumped. You know, you're with the industry, so it's like everyone's positive around you, and it's building character as well. I take that and I apply it to everyday life. I mean, I'm in the industry, so entertaining is just what I like to do. There's cameras there. So when I get to the end of the runway, I always add an extra wink or an extra flip of the hair or something just to jazz it up, because you want to make a statement. You want to stand out. You know, there's just like with acting, there's so many models out here fighting to be seen and to make it. And me, I always remember to leave a statement. So I basically booked this show by doing something small. In Jersey, because I'm from New Jersey, so I did a small show out here, and that designer noticed me, and he's a New York fashion designer, so he got my information and said, I want you to come do this show because I saw you walk that catwalk, and what I did at the end, stuck out in his mind. So, and that's how I've been keeping the contacts going. So I believe if you always do something that stands out, and
Yeah, but you're super beautiful. You stand out by just being you.
oh, I appreciate that. Thank you. But I really believe that beauty comes from the inside out. You can be as beautiful as you want on the outside, but as long as that inside matches, then you'll get very far.
Well, it's true. It doesn't matter how beautiful you are. If you are a good person inside, people are, I wouldn't want to work with you. So
Very true.
on everyone being treated equally. In fact, we're going to touch subjects. I'm going to save it because this is one of the subjects that I have in the second round when we start talking about all sorts of things. But Rich, now let's get back to the album, buddy.
I'm recording a new album. I am on the Bird Dog Records label out of Winchester, Virginia, with Gary Ackerman as my producer.
All these things over here, man, you're Canadian. Don't they love you in Canada?
They do. I'm very lucky that way. I have friends all over. I've been very blessed. Very beautiful. Very beautiful.
Yeah, because you were the first poet laureate of where you live, aren't you?
I am the very first poet laureate for the town of Strasburg in the Shenandoah Valley. It's a great honor. I really enjoy it.
Very cool, man. And then your album, if people aren't familiar, you do mostly kind of country, kind of folk.
Country folk, yeah. I call it feel good folk. That's what I call it. Feel good.
Yeah, but it's definitely got a little bit of a country feel to it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. And then maybe even a little bit of a gospel thing, I think.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah, which is it's interesting because you see that a lot in theater as well. Those kind of influences, because in a lot of folk and country, you're mainly storytelling. I mean, that's really what you're.
Yeah.
The main thematics of those type of music are heavy on words and telling a story. So it's a great vehicle or tool with which to someone who's a writer can use. That's why you see a lot in those genres, folk and country.
Whether you're doing songwriting or screenwriting or acting, it's all about the story. It's all different forms of storytelling. The human culture is hardwired to be attracted to stories. It's just what we do.
Yeah, and even in a song, if you're not telling a good story, or you're not telling a story, you're just doing pieces or whatever, then they wonder that there's not a lot of strength in that song. I mean, there's very few songs. I mean, even songs where I have a repeatable chorus and only like 3-4 verses, I'm still in the verses trying to tell a story that starts and ends and stuff like that. So,
and that's what makes art memorable. That's what makes it stand out for people, is the story it tells.
Well, and then usually a hook chorus helps, but yeah.
Yep, helps too.
But okay, so what? Got about 20 minutes. We'll take a break. So, what? We'll start with Rich this time. What would be your a dream come true as far as your artistic creativity? What vehicle or what could happen that would be your dream come true? Like one of your main things that you want to happen.
I think that my ultimate dream come true would be to rise to the level where what I write, whether it's poems or songs or plays, whatever I'm writing, is available to the whole world. That's just to get it out there. Yeah, just to get it out there. You know, we're getting closer now with all the social media and the Spotify and all those places, but to really hit that upper echelon where there's mass distribution and people who want to hear my music or read my poems can do that. I think that's what all artists really want, is just a chance.
True, although poetry in itself is a difficult sell unless you're like Jewel or whatever. I mean, usually you have to have made a name doing something else and then put out a poetry book, and then you can maybe make a bit of money. Because I remember Jewel, who was already huge. That was the only time I've ever seen anyone make a lot of money on poetry. Jewel had already been huge, was like huge success musically, and she got paid an advance of $1 million to put out a book of poetry.
That's beautiful.
But that was because she was Jewel's singer-songwriter. You know what I mean? And then
I say it's never too late.
I don't know. I mean, because even poet laureates, they make most of their money. I mean, like the national poet laureates, they make most of their money doing speaking engagements and stuff along those lines.
You know what I love? You know what I love most
on their poetry, huh?
What I love most about the poet laureate gig, I love where I live. The Shenandoah Valley is beautiful. It's full of amazing people and beautiful scenery. And as the poet laureate, I get to celebrate that beauty and the people of this fantastic land. And that is such a gift. And it
is very beautiful. And you can do stuff like, you know, add poetry classes to colleges or whatever.
Absolutely.
To pull more appreciation of art in your area. So I agree with you. It's very beautiful. Rich, I think that was like a year ago, right? So I was happy when I saw that post. Now, Tamika, what about you? What's your dream goal? Your cream of the crop dream?
My dream that I actually go to sleep at night and dream about is waking up. And I'm not a morning person by no means, but only one thing I will sacrifice waking up early, no matter what time of day, to report to work is to report to set. There's something about walking into a trailer and getting into character that I love. I'm always up for a challenge. So my dream would be to wake up every day, and if that could be my job, to go and act, step out of myself and become another person. I want to try challenging roles. Why not? Superhero, cop. I've done these things, but it's like there's no 9 to 5. That is my 9 to 5. That for me to do that.
And that is most people's especially in the entertainment. I mean, or to do what they love for a living. Believe me, I want to go every day. Well, maybe take like 2 or 3 month breaks, but go every day and make one of my films. I hear it. Doing too many early calls, because that's one advantage of shooting noir lighting, is you usually have to shoot at night because you have to control the lighting sources to shoot that dark, shadowy kind of lighting. So many of our calls will be like 3 in the afternoon, 4 in the afternoon, till like
that's what I'm talking about.
Night 1, 2 in the morning.
Yeah, no, I'm a night person.
Yeah, so
a dream.
Yeah, you know, and then I'm not big on 12-hour days, man. I like 9-10-hour days at the most, man. The films were like 12, 14-hour days, man. And I'm like, dude, by the second week, I think you burned your whole crew, cast, out.
Everyone's walking in like zombies, but you know,
and you're just getting less quality from your people. A lot of the people that make those decisions are money people, so they don't understand that you're losing creative skill.
Absolutely.
When you burn your crew out, all they care about is I want it done quicker, less days. I'm spending less money. Even, I don't know. When you're doing union, I don't think you're spending less money, because these union guys, if they go into overtime, you're like, the rates you're paying them are insane. And I remember there was an old story about Clint Eastwood after about his second movie. I think after Bridges of Madison County, or the next one he made. He had already had a reputation on that first one as a director of shooting 8-9-hour days, and all that crew are paid like in 12-hour days. So like their normal pay includes 12 hours of work. And I remember the execs came up to him and gave him a bunch of crap, and because he'd already started this next movie, I forget which one it was, but he was doing the same thing, 9-hour days, 10-hour days. And so the execs came and said, hey, man, we're paying these guys for 12 hours. You got to work for 12 hours. And Eastwood, being Eastwood, said, hey, come tomorrow for breakfast, 6 a.m. early, and I'm going to shoot like, I don't know what he said, like 13 pages in one day or something. The amount of pages to shoot in one day. And they're like, right, 13 pages. You're not going to shoot. Oh, come in the morning, come have breakfast, and we'll shoot 13 pages. So at 6 a.m., they show up. The breakfast is ready. You know, crew's all there. Everyone's there. While they're sitting and eating breakfast, he calls the DP over and one of the camera guys, and he says, hey, go set up a bench over there with a light and let me know when it's ready. And about 20 minutes in, he's smoozing with the execs. The DP comes over and says, yeah, it's ready. And he goes, okay, come on, guys. He brings the execs over there. He goes, get your camera up to the camera guy. The camera guy, he says, point it at the bench, points it at the bench. The lighting's on the bench. He goes over and lays the script on the bench. Goes, go, you know, action, go, camera's on. And then he just goes like that through 13 pages of the script while the camera's shooting on it. And then he's like, okay, guys, 13 pages.
That works.
And then he wrapped everybody after what they'd had breakfast and they'd been there maybe 45 minutes, an hour, and everyone paid for 12 hours.
13 pages. Well, he didn't lie. He did it.
They never said another word to him about it, man.
That works.
story was told to me as I was working as a stand-in on one of his films by one of his crew that had been with him for, I don't know, 15, 20 years or something like that.
Wow.
But anyway, you guys, so what we're going to do, we're going to take a short break, 5-minute break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to do the second half of the show, our roundtable artsy stuff. So again, you guys, awesome for coming and supporting our guests and being fans of the show. And
thank you.
So we'll keep bringing you amazing people like Tamika and Rich, week in, week out. So come back in 5. We're going to let our guests go get a drink, whatever. I got to take Lola to the bathroom. So come back in 5, and this is StormCrow Dreamers talking to dreamers. Keep dreaming.
When I think of all the things that might have happened, looking back on all the chaos I've been through, I just can't believe of all the roads that beckoned, I would choose the one that led me here to you. Though at times it seems the universe is random, though the elements conspire to make us fools, there are always some that go through life in tandem, and a precious few reflect the light like jewels. Somewhere in the stars, this love of ours was written, set down from the start, long before we knew. And though the choice is ours, the voice to which we listen calls down to our hearts from somewhere in the stars. Oh, it's never been our place to know the future. It's the wondering that makes us what we are. Let us cling to love, and when the journey's over, we will live together somewhere in the stars. Somewhere in the stars, this love of ours was written, set down from the start, long before we knew. And though the choice is ours, the voice to which we listen calls down to our hearts from somewhere in the stars. And I guess there's no pretending that it's anything but true. It could only be a master plan that led me here to you. Somewhere in the stars, this love of ours was written, set down from the start, before we knew. And though the choice is ours, sit down till we start to sing. Dawn goes down to our hearts, and somewhere in the stars. And though the choice is ours, the voice to which we listen calls down to our hearts from somewhere in the stars.
Hey guys, thanks tuning back in. You got to hear a wonderful conversation while we were on break. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, this is how I start the second half of every episode. We'll start with Tamika this time. Tamika, what is the best film you've seen in the last 2 years, and tell us why?
Goodness gracious. That's going to be a hard one for me to choose. I am a huge Marvel fan. I love Thor. But Infinity War is like one of my favorite films that has coming out. I gotta say that's gotta be my top pick right there. The way it ended with Thanos, everyone disappeared.
Avengers Infinity Wars.
Yeah, Infinity War. Yeah, I just love the whole concept, the way they all come together from every Marvel film and fight against this Thanos. But I know there's another one coming out, but that's my favorite movie so far. Thus far.
So yeah, and that was actually last week too. The guy, one of our guests, had the same exact film as his choice. Okay, so that same question to you, Rich.
Wow. You know, just a couple of weeks ago, I saw Green Book in the theater.
That was when that singer gets chauffeured around, right?
Yeah, it was pretty solid filmmaking, a wonderful story, compelling characters, and I think it really was timely in its message.
The overweight white guy who likes to eat a lot, right?
Yeah, yeah, and I'm always a fan for overweight white guys. You know, how can I help it? You know, that's sort of, you know, self-fulfilling prophecy. But
well, both of those guys are good actors, so I can imagine. It looked
they were amazing. They were amazing.
Yeah, but it looked appealing when I was watching the promos for it.
Yeah. And I loved it because I'm a big fan of actors who support one another, listen to each other, make each other better by being together, and both of those fellows really delivered on that promise. By being together in that film and interacting the way they did, they created something that I think was greater than either of them could have done alone. And that, to me, is the essence of beautiful art.
Well, I mean, a lot of times there's, you know, you have some movies where you have a really lead, but really all actors make the film. Like Blade and Blood is an ensemble cast, so it has like literally 28 major roles, and they all need to nail their part for that film to find success. So I hear you. It's a timeless concept, and I wish more people would understand it. Like that, you fellow filmmakers, fellow actors are not your competition. They're your that look at them to support success. You know, like
well, it all comes back to storytelling. You're telling a story that only that particular group of people can work together to tell. And that's just magic to me. Whether it's theater or movies or in music, you can do the same thing. It's just a wonderful human endeavor to work together to tell a story. I love it.
I think on set, when you're working together every day with the same group of people, you could become something like a family. It's been plenty of projects I've worked on when it's bittersweet when it comes to an end, but you just become like a family. You're with each other every day and you're encouraging each other. You're going over lines. You're just, and the celebration of the success after you see your work is amazing. Like we did that. Look at us. We rocked that.
Yeah, well, that'll be, Blade and Blood will be like that, but we'll have to, I don't think we'll be able to, we're flying a lot of y'all in, and so you're only going to be in for like a week or whatever it is to do your role, and then you're going to be sent back out. So it'll be a little bit more difficult. But remember, back in the day, I think Mark, didn't Star Wars take like over a year to shoot? So those are literally spending a whole year and a half around each other all the time. I think that's why you see a lot of the chemistry on screen with those people, because literally they spent that long next to each other, like literally every day, where sometimes in current films, when they're getting shot in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you're not quite seeing that same kind of chemistry because they're not around each other. And a lot of times they're coming in on different days and shooting different scenes. Now, here's another thing that I have that I read the other day, like, you know, and I hate to even bring publicity to this guy because he's kind of irritating, at least to me. But like Kanye West was supposed to be one of the headliners at that big, what's that giant festival out in the boonies?
Coachella?
It's been going on for like 15 years, 15 years. I forget. It's kind of like this generation's Woodstock. I forget the name of it.
Burning Man?
Huh? No, not Rain. Burning Man is not a music festival.
Yeah, Sundance?
No, that's a film festival. No, this is a music festival. Yeah. I forget the name of it though. It's the guy from. It was started by a lead singer of a band, but he was supposed to be the headliner, and they've been using the same stages out in that desert for, I don't know, 15 years. And when he was negotiating to be the headliner, he demanded they build him his own stage that was 3 times bigger than all the other stages. As part of his, if they wanted him there, that they had to build him this huge brand new stage that was like 3 times, that was just going to be for him or whatever. And I'm like going, So here's the question. When these guys get huge and get big, or women become huge starlets and all that kind of stuff, when you see some of them developing this ego like that, this ego that's kind of out the roof, and whether it be things like that, or they start mistreating people that they think are under them, or here's the question. Do you think those people were like that before the fame and wealth, and just having fame and wealth accented that personality traits that were already there? Or do you think they became famous and then they started acting like that?
I think the fame and the attention and having everything at your beck and call, it gives you that ego. I want to say it comes after the success. I don't see why you would walk into anything with that type of ego. It has to be built up over time. Unfortunately, I've seen it with friends of mine. They changed a lot of their character. They didn't act the way they act now, being that they got certain gigs. But for me, I don't think that's tasteful at all. I think it's good to remain humble, because just as fast as you got it, you can lose it. Consistency is everything. So I think it does come after the success at times. It's just not tasteful at all.
And what about
I think that ego like that can come with success, but it doesn't have to. I think it's a choice that you make every day. Are you in it for your own glorification, or are you in it for the love of the art that you're making? And if the answer is art, you're probably not going to have that runaway ego. My grandfather, who lived to be 3 weeks shy of his 101st birthday, and who was a very wise man, told me one time, he said, whatever you do in life, if you live so that people are always glad to see you coming, you'll always have success and happiness. And I've never forgotten that. And I have always tried everywhere I go to be someone people would be glad to see coming. And I've had a very
I don't know if I can say that about me, because like I work at a restaurant with a bunch of young ones that are like, a majority of them they're okay, they're nice, but the majority of them are really lazy.
Well,
so,
and you have every
so I've been harsh on them, so I'm not sure that they've always are enjoyable to see
you coming. Here he comes again.
Huh?
They're like, here he comes again. No.
Yeah, because the more lazy they are, the more I got to do, and it gets annoying after a while. And
I haven't done a lot of
I'm
film
blunt
work.
and direct, so I'm the same way on a set. If everyone's doing their job, I'm totally happy and content. But if I see a bunch of people not doing their job, when we're on usually on a film set, you're on a time constraint. Especially if you're on location, you rented that location out, and say you're shooting at someone's house, they want their house back. I mean, so I am totally happy and content and supportive. But I think it's also just leadership positions. When you're in a leadership position, you can't always be Mr. Jolly-go-lucky guy. Yeah, you have to actually be making sure everybody's doing their job. Now, if everyone does their job, then I'm Mr. Happy-go-lucky the whole time on the set. But I have yet to be on a set where everybody's doing what they should be doing, or there's not like problems that arise that create a little stress.
I have never been in the film world a whole lot, but I have done some pretty higher echelon things in the music world. And I have met some music celebrities who are just lovely people. And I've met some others that are just rotten to the core. And I think it's a choice you make. I think as success,
it is, yeah. Even if you do what I was talking about, and you're in a leadership capacity, you can still have good intent and good heart. And
absolutely. And I think maybe people in this world are like mirrors. If you look for the best in them, that's what they'll show you. And if you look for the worst in them, they'll show you that too, I think,
Like the diva behavior, I say leave that at the door. I don't want to work with any divas. I have to have this a certain way. My food has to be like, no, you're here to work. Like you said,
I wouldn't be able to deal with that from a director's standpoint. I would have a hard time trying to deal with that. Like any treatment of people, or I don't care what their position is. My big thing is respect to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I don't care if it's a background actor, or if it's the guy, or whatever it is. They're all doing a job. Film is a team sport, and everybody's needed, and his job is valuable. You know what I mean? So they all deserve equal respect. So I would have a hard time. Can you imagine Tarantino trying to deal with a diva on set?
Get out.
Tarantino would just start screwing with him or something like that, or you know, probably something. I can't imagine him ever. But you know, people. That's the funny thing about as a writer, filmmaker. When that, like a Tarantino, is a really talented filmmaker, writer, he has major stars having their agents beg to be in one of his films. You know, that's why I always love it that when he has almost his pick of the litter of who he could get. I love that he goes back and gets actors that are maybe on the down and out. Mm-hmm. No-namers like Christoph Waltz, who was like a no-namer that he threw in the middle of his World War II movie. I forget, Glorious Bastards.
Oh, yeah.
When he could have picked any major star he wanted to do those roles. And he's big on trying to support people. A lot of filmmakers wouldn't be filmmakers without him. Rodriguez wouldn't have made Desperado if Tarantino hadn't taken El Mariachi and put it right in front of and advocated him. You know what I mean? So he's done that with a lot of actors and filmmakers. And I think that's a big thing too, is you got to give back. You got to open doorways for people behind you to have an opportunity to do their thing. Do you have a question, Mark?
No, not at this time. I don't.
I thought you were always gonna have a question, man.
No. I've had a lot of stuff today.
His significant other, his lovely lady's birthday was this week, so I think he was with birthday festivities.
Yeah, no, she didn't have that great of a birthday day. Everything went. It typically rains on her birthday, and because it didn't rain on her birthday, I've assumed that it made the whole day bad.
That's a very weird look at it.
Rain. That's just
Yeah,
water.
it always rains, and she loves the rain.
Just still celebrate. Never too late.
Okay, so now another thing that I would love your opinion on is this whole shutdown of the government. I think that's 25, 30 years ago that never happened, ever. No. And then all of a sudden now it's become a political tool to try to force what you want, whether it be the president doing it or the senators doing it or senators doing it with each other. It's become a tool to actually go, give me what I want, or we're going to do this. And the only people that suffer, and do you really think senators and the president aren't getting their money? Because it hurts all the armed forces, all the federal employees that still are forced to do their job and yet get no money.
I can attest to that one. I was in Iraq not getting paid when the government shut down the first time for Obamacare.
Yeah, it's become a political tool, man. And they need to put in legislation that prohibits it from happening. That, you know what I mean? It's like, or make it so that none of those senators or president get any money or insurance or anything else at the same time. I mean, because it's devastating to our economy, and it's always a political tool. It's not these are not, I mean, this is about building a wall, like literally.
Yeah.
Our government is not going to, and it's not just about the wall though. There's a bunch of little things they're trying to shove in there, like they always do, that are benefiting giant corporations and stuff like that. And it's never about the people. It's even though they'll try to paint it as such, but it's never about that. It's about money and greed and coding the lines of their political backers, which are always billionaires and all that kind of stuff. So I just think that should never happen. I never heard of it before the Obamacare thing. And now all of a sudden it's become like this, another tool in their tool belt to use to get their way. And the only people that suffer are like middle-class people who are most of the government employees, middle, upper, lower class, middle-class employees that are all over the place, including our armed forces. But anyway, so we'll start with Tamika. What's your opinion on that?
I just think it's ridiculous. Everything that's going on. How are you protesting? Like for a wall, the government is shut down. It just doesn't even sound right. It just, I don't even want to touch on the topic. It's unfortunate. And hopefully they figure it out. But they don't tell us everything what's really going on. They tell us what they want us to know. So we actually don't really know what's going on behind closed doors. I'm just through with the whole thing. Hopefully they get
I don't even think they should be able to do it, because I in my entire lifetime, only recently has that ever happened. I don't remember that ever happening all through my youth, 20s, 30s. I don't remember ever the government shutting down. So
it's just odd. Why what this country, the government is shut down? Like, the statement alone, it doesn't even sound right. I just think they need to get it together.
Yeah, I just feel like they should not have that ability to do that. Is what to shut the government down. That they have to, like, they're forced to come to some kind of compromise. What do you think?
Well, you know, JD, as a public servant, as a school teacher, I'm kind of contractually obligated to be Switzerland. But I can say that I don't take any joy or any pride in seeing people dig in their heels across a table and play the blame game, when really they're there to be public servants and to hold our best interests at heart. And I don't think that's happening right now, and that makes me sad. And it's hard to take pride in an America that's behaving that way as far as a government's concerned. If we don't have a government, what do we have? You know?
True.
It mystifies me. I can't even imagine it. I have to work hard to even make it be real.
And did it now? Am I misremembering? But that never happened, right?
No. When I was, I'm coming up on 60 years old, and anytime up until about my 30s, if the government had actually shut down, it would have been a national crisis. You know, and now it's almost it's, as you said, it's become part of a political vocabulary, and it's very sad state of affairs.
Yeah, I just don't, like, again, like, I don't remember it ever happening. So I don't know who thought it was a good idea to start. And now that it happened once, now it just seems like their go-to tool every year to get what they want. And because even when it hasn't happened the last few years, I remember almost every year it's threatened.
And I believe Tamika was right on point. I believe Tamika was right on point when she said we don't have enough information to really know what's actually going on. And at the other side of that coin is we're sort of powerless to do much about it except watch and wonder.
Yeah.
Well, and this is why a lot of people are dejected in voting, because now if they just gerrymander. You know what I mean? Like, if a sitting senator that's been there for 40 years to keep his office, the area he represents, all of a sudden he's Republican, that area becomes Democrat. They just move the boundaries of the area he represents to, like, the boundaries are in, like, a Republican controlled area again, which is what gerrymandering is. For those people that didn't know that, they basically changed the district boundary lines of where their district is until it goes into an area that's more likely to vote for them.
You know, I'll say this: we are one of the youngest nations on Earth, and we're also one of the most powerful nations on Earth. It's a little bit like handling a toddler the keys to a Ferrari. You're going to scrape your knees a little bit. You're going to have a couple of bus steps on your way to having everything run smoothly. And part of me just really hopes and prays that this is growing pains of a young nation, and that we'll come back round again to something where there's a little more common sense and a little more compassion. Time has to tell. There's no way to know right now where we're
I mean, naivety or called naivety or idealism or however you want to say it. I always say your country should be judged by how it treats its oldest, its youngest, and its poorest.
Mm-hmm.
And to me,
a lot of wisdom in that.
defining factor on whether you live in a great country or not a great country, and is in the treatment of those three things: your oldest, your youngest, and your poorest, and how you treat them. And I remember, to me, I thought FDR, to me, is probably one of the greatest presidents we've had, and he pulled us out of the Great Depression, and he's the one that showed by action far more compassion and sympathy for the poor and the desolate and all that stuff, by all the things he put in, the regulations he put in against monopolies, the regulations he put in, the Social Security, creating Social Security and all that kind of stuff, and the working wage, he did that, and the big deal or whatever, the great deal or whatever. 40-hour work week, all the things he did. And I wish we would understand that was when we were, if you look at it, that was when our nation was, for its time period, at the most prosperous, was towards the end of his thing, although he was very anti-corporation. So that's probably why they, but I like to see us get back to that, where it's about everybody. It's about all people, as opposed to
that all people is so important. I am very disturbed about the government shutdown and all that goes with it, but I'm a great deal more disturbed about how things like racism and homophobia are becoming normalized in our culture again. I think that's a dangerous trend. I'm not happy
because we
about
fought
that
for decades to better that.
Exactly. I know whenever I have a chance at the polls, when I go to vote, I know that real change takes about 50, 60 years to happen. So I always vote for the world that I want for the kids that I teach. I'm probably never going to see the change I'm voting for in my lifetime, but I vote for it for them so that they'll inherit something better than we did. And I'm not sure I can say that's happening right now. I'm not sure that our kids are going to inherit something better than we did. And that makes me sad.
Well, I posted something the other day, and I thought it was very, very, very profound. And it was put up by a woman I had met recently, Eve, and she didn't write it, but she had posted it. And it says, the world is not falling apart. All you're seeing is the lifting of the veil of all the treachery in the world. Like, it's been there for a long time, so it's not like the world's falling apart all of a sudden. And you're basically saying, here, let me read it. What was it? It's on because I thought it was very profound. Oh, okay, there you go. The world isn't falling apart. The veil of the worldwide corruption is lifted.
So it's been like this. It's just lifting up to show its true colors. America used to
Because now everybody has internet, and everybody has a phone, and everybody has access, and everybody has all that. So this talk of the world is falling apart, I think that was just so profound, because it's nothing's new. It's just all of a sudden we're seeing it
over and over again. I mean, I'm just thinking back. I'm 34. I have 2 girls that I'm raising, and I am worried for the future. What are they going to have to go through? America did used to be the safe place. Everyone comes here from their countries fleeing what's going on there, thinking this is safety, but to come here and just to see the treatment that's going on, it's just not right. ISIS, all the things you want a wall, like in all the years of the president, this guy is making a wall, like, and putting money, the government shut down. It's just, I think it's not good. It's going, like he said, we're going backwards instead of moving forward. And we used to be that country. It's like America the strong, America the beautiful. Like, what's happening to us. You know, we gotta do better. I just think as a whole, but like we really don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Once again, they only telling us as much as they want us to know.
Yeah.
All right, so let's skip to away from. Normally, I don't tackle that subject, but it's such a profound thing that's happening right now.
Yeah.
This is probably the first time I've really tackled anything semi-political.
We actually have
Getting paid and all that stuff. I just felt like it was something that we should touch upon.
we actually have someone who is wanting to know information about Blade and Blood.
Oh, you go to bladeandblood.com.
Yeah, she wants to know when Blade and Blood will come out.
We're still working on funding, so that's once we secure funding, we'll start shooting. But the goal is to shoot this year, and we have people interested. So it'll be there's a 95% chance that we will probably secure that funding in the next few months, and then we'll start working in pre-production and getting going. There's probably going to be about 2 months of pre-production, and then probably about 2.5 months of production, and then you have about 2 months. And what I want to do, though, is something that will help us a lot in post-production, is I want to have an on-set editor that we pay that will be editing every day as we're shooting, so that by the time we're done with the film, the edit will be pretty much done, and then special effects people will just have to go in and add special effects into it. And then we'll be pretty close to, so post is not taking, normally you just shoot the whole thing and then you got to send it to post and then they start working on all that. Mm-hmm. But if we're an on-set editor who's doing it every single day, that'll save us a lot of time in post. Instead of sitting for 5 or 6 months in post before the film's done, that should more than halve that time away. So you're talking maybe a month and a half in post, mostly for special effects and everything. But yeah, I appreciate the support. Rich is a backer of the film, and Tamika is in the film, and then the first AD in the film, and then of course I'm going to direct it, and I wrote it, and then of course Lola will be there for moral support.
Oh, look at Lola!
Hey, baby.
Again, though, he has been acting up because, again, Lola has made demands to have her own agent and manager, and I'm sorry. She's not union. She can't do it. She doesn't have that kind of pull in this household.
Whatever Lola wants, Lola gets.
Well, you guys, it's been an amazing experience talking to both of you. This is episode 8, so we're still in the burgeoning days of this show, but we will continue to keep rolling along. Rich is a beautiful spirit. He's going to keep doing what he does and sending love all directions. Tamika's a very talented, beautiful woman, and she'll continue to land roles, I am sure. And she'll kill it in Blade and Blood as Delilah. But you guys, I want to say thank you to my guests. I want to say thank you to the people that have supported us from the beginning, or people that have just joined us and are watching this. What I do at the end of every show is I ask the guests to give their advice to their younger selves, as if you were talking to your young self with aspirations to do what you do. This time we'll start with Rich, and then we'll go to Tamika and end with her. So, Rich, what advice would you give a young you trying to aspire to be a singer-songwriter?
I think the advice I would give to young me is never lose sight of the joy that comes from creating and sharing. If you've got that, you're on your way.
Definitely. You should always, but to me, when you're an artist, man, it's like breathing or eating. You can't not do it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have a choice in creating or writing, or I can't imagine my life without those things. You know what I mean? So it's like books. Like I get uncomfortable if I don't have a book to read. I start actually literally physically getting uncomfortable if I don't have a book to read. But yeah, I agree. It's good advice. Keep your joy and your love of your art. Now, Tamika, what's your advice to a young you wanting to be a model actress?
First things first, keep God first. Never give up, no matter what challenges you face. Continue to chase your dream, because you might get no's as you go along your path, but when that one yes comes, it'll be all worth it. So just keep chasing your craft and never give up.
That's true. Yeah, we've talked about this. A lot of people say that at the end of the shows, and we've talked about it before. Some of the most successful people in entertainment were the ones that failed the most, that continued to get up and keep stepping.
Definitely.
There's a lot of learning done in failing or falling. And as long as you learn those lessons and are constantly growing and learning and trying to get better and all that stuff. And let me add that no matter how skilled you are, never stop learning. Never know everything. Never think you have already learned everything or you're some master. No matter how skilled you are, there's always more to learn, more to grow from, and there's always space to get better. No matter how good you are at something, there's always space to get better. It's a lifelong journey of discovery and growth and becoming more skilled at whatever you're trying to do. Big shout out to Mark Potter, my co-host. We could not do this without him. Big love to Tamika, who is an amazing spirit. And then, of course, Rich, a guy I've known for a long time and very supportive of a lot of people's art and dreams. He's a big love teddy bear. So I want to thank you guys tremendously. Lola wants to thank you. So you guys, episode 8 of StormCrow. Dreamers talking to dreamers.
Bro, baby.
Keep dreaming.
Keep that dream going.
Keep that dream going. Thanks, JD. Thanks, Tamika. Thanks, Mark.
Bye.